Michael Pollan, In Defense of Food, An Eater's Manifesto. Welcome to the world of In Defense of Food, An Eater's Manifesto by Michael Pollan, where you will discover how the Western diet and the insidious influence of nutritionism have undermined our relationship with food. This book exposes how leading scientists and politicians have shifted focus from food to nutrients, giving rise to a myriad of health problems and chronic diseases. Pollan expertly unpacks the fallacies behind nutritionism, revealing how it has benefited the food and health industries at the expense of our well-being. Dive into this intriguing summary and explore what's wrong with our present-day food culture and how we can embrace a healthier, more sustainable eating philosophy, one rooted in traditional food customs and built on the power of fresh, whole foods.
The nutrient obsession. Most people nowadays focus on the nutrient content of their diets instead of the foods they eat. This change in focus happened in the second half of the 20th century when the U.S. government and food industry shifted their attention from food to nutrients. The lipid hypothesis, which blamed the consumption of fat and cholesterol for heart disease, led to the setup of the Senate Select Committee on Nutrition and Human Needs in 1968. In 1977, the committee released a report that urged people to reduce their meat and dairy intake to prevent heart issues. However, the head of the committee, who owned lots of cattle ranches, changed the wording of the recommendations to avoid harming his interests and the profits of food lobbyists. Instead of saying, "Don't eat meat and dairy," they urged people to choose meats, poultry, and fish that will reduce saturated fat intake. This change in wording led to the shift in discourse from talking about healthy eating in terms of specific foods to focusing on nutrients. The deception of healthy food. Nutritionism and the myth of processed food. When faced with two options at the supermarket, one labeled low-carb and the other imitation, it's natural to choose the seemingly healthier option. However, both choices are highly processed imitations of real pasta. This is due to the phenomenon of nutritionism, where we rely on nutritionists to interpret the mysterious commands of what makes good versus bad food. Nutritionists promote the idea that the ultimate goal of eating is to maintain physical health, which has resulted in a mentality where we judge food by its nutrients rather than its whole form. This perspective has caused concern as we may consider nutrient-rich processed foods to be healthier than whole foods. In 1938, the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act enforced strict regulations on marketing imitation food products. A rule mandated the word imitation to appear on the packaging of any such product. However, in 1973, the food industry had the rule changed so that imitation food could be marketed without using the I word, as long as the imitation wasn't nutritionally inferior. As a result, adulterated food products like healthy imitation pasta came to be considered as food. In conclusion, nutritionism and the disconnection from whole food are leading factors in the acceptance of highly processed imitation foods. The dangers of prioritizing nutrients over whole foods mean that consumers may be choosing falsely healthy options for the sake of convenience and a lack of understanding about what real food is. The dark side of nutritionism. The rise of nutritionism, or food science, has been manipulated by the food industry to promote processed foods as healthy, while neglecting whole foods. The dietary goals of 1977 were based on a hypothesis and influenced by industry pressure. The lipid hypothesis linking saturated fat to chronic heart disease lacks evidence. Nutritionism allowed for the addition of healthy nutrients to processed foods, while natural and wholesome foods were neglected. The question remains, is nutritionism benefiting us or the food industry? The pitfalls of nutritionism. Nutritionism has led to a more scientific, pleasure-devoid approach to food in which taste has been sacrificed for health. We've been made to believe that to decipher ingredients labels and follow the latest scientific dietary recommendations is to eat properly. However, evidence suggests that such an approach has heightened obesity and diabetes rates instead of improving physical health outcomes. A more holistic approach, drawing on cultural origins and personal taste, may be necessary to address the issues faced with current Western dietary patterns. The Western diet's impact on our health. Our poor health is not due to a lack of nutrients but rather our dependence on the Western diet, which consists of processed foods high in refined sugar and flour. A study of isolated populations, such as those in the Arctic and Australia, who ate a native diet free of refined flour, sugar, and chemical vegetable oils, found no need for dental care or suffered from chronic diseases or tooth decay. When people avoid the Western diet, their general health improves significantly. An experiment in which Aborigines returned to their native diet of seafood, birds, kangaroo, and occasionally turtle, crocodile, and bush honey, showed a marked reduction in the risks of developing certain diseases. Therefore, we must change our diet to reduce the risks of poor health associated with the Western diet. The impact of food industry. Weston Price's research showed that the key to good health is fresh, nutrient-rich food from animals and plants grown in healthy soils. However, the Western diet has been industrialized, and the food industry prioritizes profits over health. This leads to a disconnection between consumers and the sources of their food, resulting in polluted and nutrient-deficient soil that affects the entire food chain. When one link in the chain is disturbed, it can harm the health of all the links. Therefore, we need to view food as a relationship between the links of the food chain and prioritize the health of our food sources and their environments. It is time to reject the industrialized Western diet and reconnect with the roots of healthy eating. From whole foods to refined ones. The Western diet has undergone a significant shift from whole foods to refined ones over the last 150 years. Refined foods are chemically and biologically simplified to last longer. However, this simplification resulted in a quantity-over-quality approach to healthy eating, with nutritional content taking a back seat. Meanwhile, epidemics like pellagra and beriberi ensue due to the deficiencies of vitamins brought about by refined carbohydrates. Scientists have long warned about the health risks posed by refined foods, and yet, they remain a staple in the Western diet, with whole grains often overlooked. Breaking free from the Western diet. The industrialization of food has destroyed our food culture and replaced it with ineffective food science and the unhealthy Western diet. The food industry benefits from creating new nutrient theories to continually redesign and repackage processed food products. Such theories also benefit the health industry by creating new treatments for chronic diseases caused by the Western diet. To recover our food culture and improve our health, we must distance ourselves from the Western diet and follow simple guidelines for a more traditional and healthy diet. Real food rules. Grocery shopping has become perplexing due to the high number of food-like substitutes. However, by adhering to a few basic principles, you can select real food for your cart instead. Firstly, avoid eating what your great-grandmother wouldn't eat. This action requires us to ditch the Western diet and embrace food culture. Secondly, avoid products that have more than 5 ingredients. This rule assists in steering clear of heavily processed foods. Lastly, disregard any product making a health claim. Claims of this nature mostly rely on questionable or incomplete science. By following these 3 straightforward guidelines, you can differentiate between genuine food and food-like products. 2 principles of a healthy diet. Real food is better than food-like substitutes. Plants, especially leaves, provide antioxidants that detoxify dangerous chemicals and should form the foundation of your diet. Prioritize meat sources that eat more leaves and fewer seeds. Organic plants and a diverse diet are also important for a healthy balanced diet. The value of a worthwhile eating experience. Nutritionism and food science prioritize the chemistry of food over the sociology and ecology of eating, resulting in a lack of concern for the eating experience. However, paying more for high-quality food and eating less of it can enhance the enjoyment of meals. Eating proper meals at a dining table, especially with friends or family, can also increase satisfaction in cultural and social relationships. Additionally, cooking meals at home can eliminate processed foods and build excitement for the meal. By prioritizing a worthwhile eating experience, individuals can appreciate the taste of their food and the atmosphere of a restaurant rather than simply consuming calories.
In conclusion, In Defense of Food, An Eater's Manifesto makes a compelling case against the nutritionism ideology and the Western diet that has created a health crisis in our society. Pollan reveals that our obsession with nutrients has driven us towards consuming processed, chemically altered food products which lack essential nutrients, while alienating us from the simple, balanced approach to eating that our ancestors enjoyed. By understanding the value of fresh, whole foods and rejecting the misguided claims of nutritionism, we can restore food as an essential aspect of our lives, not merely a vehicle for delivering nutrients. The book underscores the importance of reclaiming our food culture to enjoy the multiple benefits of a healthier, more satisfying and ecologically sound way of eating.